Welcome back to the channel. My name is Vandell, co-founder of Black Swan Capitalist. So in this video, I'm going to break down the three key elements that could potentially drive XRP's price to double or even triple digits in the future when utility does take place. I'll explain the rationale, logic behind the math, and the factors that most people aren't talking about so that you could really see how calculated it is and how reasonable it is if you really understand it. So by the end of this video, you should understand and see how this could happen, and then it's up to you to decide if it's probable or not. That's not the point of this video. I just want to explain it and break down the math and the three elements that will drive the price to these high levels that you always hear people talking about. So for those that don't know, XRP is the native token of the XRP ledger. And XRP is basically a financial instrument for instant, cheap settlements and to facilitate liquidity from institution A to institution Z. And it's designed for financial institutions. There's this huge misconception that the XRP ledger is for retail, and it's really not. It's designed for institutional use, regardless if they allow retail to develop on the network. Innovation always comes from the private sector, and then it's adopted for the institutions. Now, regarding XRP's price, it's important to understand that there are two distinct narratives at play. So I'll talk about that real quick before we get into the utility aspect of it and the three elements that will ultimately drive XRP's price to extraordinary levels. So the first is the current price, the price pump that we recently saw, which is driven by crypto's liquidity cycle. It's a reoccurring 4-year pattern. When all cryptos pump, it happens every 4 years. It's aligned with the debt refinance cycle every 4 years, the Bitcoin halving every 4 years, the crypto altcoin season every 4 years. And that's what we're seeing right now. It's no coincidence that the XRP token has been pumping recently, right when we're entering altcoin season. So clearly this isn't utility, this is the liquidity cycle taking place. That's what we're seeing right now. XRP's price, it's been consolidating and building pressure for a couple of years, all that sideways movement. Now we're actually starting to see it start to increase in price with many other digital assets and cryptos as well. The second is the extraordinary high price that will come from XRP's global mainstream application and real-world utility. This is what we've been talking about for a long time, which has yet to take effect. This is a very critical distinction to make, because people see the price pumping and they think, oh, utility's kicking in. No, it's not a coincidence. It's happening right when altcoin season is kicking in. So believe it or not, from a technical standpoint, XRP has been building massive pressure over the last 6 years. So what we're witnessing right now with the price pump, this is just the beginning. And this is driven by liquidity and the liquidity cycles that happen every 4 years. It's not utility. But let me make something very clear. This isn't even altcoin season yet, and global institutional utility hasn't even kicked in either, and we're starting to see the price pump, which is pretty exciting because we've been holding for a long time, and we do believe this is just the beginning. But the foundation for XRP's extraordinary price moment is here. The foundation has been laid a long time ago. Remember, these things are planned out way in advance. But so far, as a holder of XRP, we have very strong fundamentals, very strong technicals, and I believe XRP is very undervalued and oversold. So before getting into the detail, I just want to bring up something really quick. If you're trying to capitalize on the 4-year cycles and altcoin season that we see every couple of years, like I am, I think it would be smart to hold a decent amount of cryptocurrencies and different digital assets and be slightly diversified. That way, you're not forced to sell everything and lose your complete position in the long run. You still want to have skin in the game. and I am taking advantage of these 4-year cycles. I mean, let's be honest, you buy in the bear market and you sell during altcoin season. It's not very difficult to make millions during these times. However, though, it is an art to stay a millionaire, which is a different subject. But I would strongly encourage people to take advantage, but still have some skin in the game and keep a percentage of your portfolio locked away in cold storage for long term, and you don't touch it. Because selling during these cycles is a really smart move. That's where the big money is made. But of course, make sure you're strategic and split your strategy. You sell a portion for profit and you keep the rest in cold storage for the long haul. Now let's start with an important question. So, was it always the plan for XRP to evolve from being a payment currency into a global reserve digital asset? Personally, I believe so, and there's a few reasons why, but one of them is Ripple once stated on their website that they were committed to making XRP the world reserve digital currency. That's number one. And although this statement was removed later on, Ripple's actions actually suggest that the agenda hasn't changed. Second of all, Brad Garlinghouse once stated the same thing at a conference in Asia many years ago, that the goal is to make XRP a world reserve currency.
Well, so when XRP was created, this actually was created before Ripple existed. The creators of XRP decided to be 100 billion units because they saw it as rather than having a smaller number with a very high price, they saw it as something they wanted to be effectively a global reserve currency.
Now, what's changed maybe over time is the public narrative, likely to avoid global economic disruption for national security purposes. Who knows? But when you have such disruption and innovation on a scale like Ripple, well, a lot of these executives have to strategically misdirect and mislead people. And I've seen it in the world of business, working in banking and in the oil and gas sector with some high-profile individuals that have actually been on TV in the news. So it's pretty common, actually. But if you actually watch what they do rather than what they say, then you'll see that it seems that they're still sticking to the initial goal, and the agenda hasn't changed long-term, even though the public narrative may have changed. Now, speaking of world reserve currencies, there was one point where even Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has publicly acknowledged the possibility of multiple reserve currencies at once in the new financial system.
I suppose it would diminish our status as the reserve currency. It's also possible to have more than one large reserve currency, and there have been times when that was the case, and so it's not really clear.
He did publicly say that. Now, I think XRP and XLM appear to be strong contenders. Based on the research, they look like they are powerful contenders for institutions, and institutions have been showing interest in both for a long time now. But here's the kicker. I believe, based on the research and the data, it seems that XRP has been primed for a long time to specifically move value instantly for financial institutions. And XLM seems to be catering as a nonprofit to sectors of the economy that are completely different than the institutions. So I think XLM is focused on moving money around and potentially being a currency for people to send value back and forth, and XRP is for institutions. So why would every financial institution likely use XRP to move value? Let's break it down from a technical standpoint.
With rising inflation, bank failures, and massive layoffs across multiple sectors, the future of the economy remains uncertain. It's no wonder the central banks have been getting prepared by stockpiling gold. At ITM Trading, we have spent over 27 years building a team of seasoned researchers and analysts who can help you prepare for any financial crisis. Our experts are ready to provide you with proven strategies to safeguard your wealth and assets in the event of an economic downturn or currency reset, which is frankly inevitable. Don't wait until it's too late. Schedule your free gold and silver strategy call by clicking on the link in the description below.
So first is the transaction speed. It settles in 3 to 4 seconds, no matter how large the value is. Second, scalability. It processes up to 1,500 transactions per second. Third, cost efficiency. Very low transaction fees, about fractions of a penny. Fourth, trust and partnerships. This is very important because they have collaborations with major financial institutions, relationships with central banks, and at the end of the day, it's not always the best tech. It's the relationships. For example, look at the Ethereum Alliance, okay? ETH, it was because of trust and relationships, regardless how corrupt it was, okay? So at the end of the day, it's a big club. And lastly is versatility from this standpoint. It can facilitate instant currency conversion without intermediaries. And what that would ultimately do is, because you don't need all these nostro vostro, which are pre-funded accounts sitting holding trillions of dollars, they don't need to be there anymore because you don't need all these middlemen and intermediaries. All that money can go back into the economy, into different sectors of the economy, and all that capital will be offloaded, and it wouldn't have to just sit doing nothing in pre-funded accounts. So those advantages make XRP extremely attractive for financial institutions, and in my humble opinion, I think that would be a very logical choice for central banks and financial institutions. And then we have the stablecoin. And speaking of Ripple's stablecoin, the RLUSD, some of you may have heard about Ripple's stablecoin and wondered, okay, does this mean I don't need XRP? How does this fit into the equation? How does it fit into the picture? Well, here's the deal. I'll explain it for you so that you could easily digest this and it would be simple. Ripple's stablecoin is designed for institutional use on the XRP ledger. It basically is acting as a bridge between traditional finance and the future of finance, bridging that gap. So it doesn't replace XRP. And I know a lot of people said, oh, it's the end of XRP, yada, yada. No, that's not true. As a matter of fact, because of what it's created for, it complements XRP, serving distinct purposes within the banking system. It's another piece of the puzzle tailored to meet specific needs, while XRP retains its unique role. You see, the stablecoin will ultimately bring on much more liquidity onto the XRP ledger because of what it was designed to do and what it's capable of doing. So that's the stablecoin in a nutshell. It's not replacing XRP. It's complementing it, and it's going to bring on more liquidity and value onto the XRP ledger. That's all it is. Now, here's an interesting fact. XRP and XLM were the only two digital assets listed under the stablecoins section in a 2021 document that was published by the World Bank Group, which their parent organization is the United Nations. Interestingly, Versan and I were the first to actually break that news ever on the internet. We were actually reading through the document, going through close to 100 pages, and found that section there and then shared it on Twitter and on YouTube. But I don't think that was a coincidence that XRP and XLM were the only digital assets listed in that document with close to 100 pages. Now, behind closed doors, you have to understand that decisions about disruptive technologies and innovations that will ultimately be adopted in the world, like XLM or XRP, even Velo, these decisions are made years in advance. Okay, they just decide to give the headlines to the public later on as time goes by, and that's strategically orchestrated. But it's just noise. I mean, I could tell you as far back in 2009, a UN panel actually proposed replacing the US dollar-based system to ensure global stability. And this was right after the system died during the 2008 financial crisis, and then they came out with quantitative easing to artificially inject life support to keep the system going. So, as you can see, this has been discussed and planned out long ago. So here's exactly how utility will drive XRP's price in the future and how it will reach very high digits in the future. First of all, if you're familiar with the bull run cycles that happen every 4 years, then you should already know by now that they're driven by one thing, and that's liquidity. Now, here's the interesting thing. The same principle applies to XRP's future, but with a twist. As utility increases on the XRP ledger and with the token, so does liquidity, because as adoption takes place and utility takes place, more liquidity comes onto the network. So what it does is it creates this feedback loop that pushes the price higher over time. And it will go higher over time because there's only a limited supply of a maximum of 100 billion XRP. So you're wondering, okay, how will this play out? How will it manifest? Here's how it works. The first thing that will drive up the price of XRP to extremely high levels is utility and adoption growth, because as financial institutions adopt XRP, they'll use it for transactions, reducing the supply available to the public. So this will create this shrinking supply that will drive demand over time. And as a result, price will go up over time. It's simple math. Number 2 is institutional demand. As institutions acquire and hold XRP as a tool, remember, they won't be putting it back onto the exchanges or onto the market. They won't be trading this asset and, just doing shallow trading. With XRP's limited supply, their retention will reduce market availability over time and gradually pushing prices much higher. And this will likely happen on a global scale. So why would institutions ever sell XRP back onto the market? Logically, they wouldn't. They'd be acquiring it so they could use, because it would be considered a valuable asset for them to have and to potentially even put on their balance sheet. We don't know, but they'll be using it as a tool. Third is on-demand liquidity. As liquidity pools basically will unlock trillions of dollars, this will further increase the demand for XRP down the road. It will basically create a cycle of rising prices by its growing utility. And this is the liquidity pools. So to simplify it, this is economics 101. It's supply and demand. And this is really on a kindergarten level. And you understand the amount of value and money in the world sitting in central banks, in the derivatives market, cross-border payments, sitting in nostro vostro pre-funded accounts. You can easily calculate potential value projections of the price, but that's not what this video is about. I just wanted to give you a 3-element explanation for what will drive the price. And I know many people use it as a metric, market cap. They use market cap as a metric to judge an asset's potential future price, but that's really dumb and illogical. And I'll explain why. Because market cap is irrelevant to forecasting the future. But why is it irrelevant? It's because it's a fluid psychological metric, that changes and will change as adoption and utility increases. So it's not a valid indicator. Market cap doesn't take into account how exponential growth can drive an asset's value overnight. It doesn't take into account utility or global adoption, just like we've seen in the past with equities. So companies like Google and Amazon, their market caps were very low. And then all of a sudden, an influx of liquidity increase the market cap over time, and then it reflected in the price. So XRP's true potential lies in its utility and the use case, practicality, which will ultimately drive its market cap to levels people can't even imagine in the future. It's just a matter of time, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's going to happen today, tomorrow. Who knows? It could be a year from now. It could be 5, 10 years. We don't know. So clearly, XRP is positioned to revolutionize finance and the banking system. And the price action we're seeing just now is only the start. As global adoption takes effect and its utility scales up over time, XRP, the price, will inevitably rise to levels that seem unthinkable today, in my opinion. So we don't know where, we don't know when, but it seems that that's an inevitable future for XRP and the price. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I always ask this, but I'll ask it again. Please leave me feedback, constructive feedback in the YouTube comments. I just want to be able to better deliver this information, and any feedback is much appreciated. If you want to speak to me one-on-one or with my brother, go to our website, send me a message personally, book a call, and we'll be happy to speak with you. I'll see you in the next one.